Okay, so this is a look at Lesson 8 that was presented in class on Thursday, November 19th. And first and foremost, if you did not complete the mid-unit assessment yesterday, that's what needs to be the most important thing on your list to get done. For everyone else, we will start with our opening. In the previous lesson, you completed your mid-unit assessment, which focused on analyzing the point of view on related historical texts. In this lesson, you'll return to the novel Two Roads to analyze the point of view of a character and how that is developed by the author. Our learning targets for today: I can find the gist of Chapter 9 of Two Roads. I can analyze Pop's point of view in Chapter 9 and how it's developed by the author. Then they wanted us to go to another excerpt from the afterword of Two Roads and determine what is the best central idea. For Native kids, often taken by force, arriving in one of those faraway schools was a terrible change from the loving support of their family environment. Yet, as Jack Thorpe, son of the famous American Indian athlete Jim Thorpe, put it to me, even though Dad had been in Indian boarding school himself, that was where he sent me and my brothers. Why, if life at Indian school was so draconian, would Jim Thorpe in real life and Will Blackbird in my novel deliberately send their sons to an Indian boarding school? Why, in fact, did so many graduates of Indian boarding school not only send their kids to such schools, but also praise their own experiences? The answer can be found not so much in what was intended by the creators of these schools, as in what the Indian students themselves made of the institutions. As Loma Wyma so succinctly put it, and they called it Prairie Light, Indian people made Chilocco their own. Rather than being made less Indian, the Indian schools actually served to confirm their Indian identity, not just as members of a particular tribal nation, but in a pan-Indian sense. This identity was strengthened not in the classroom, but in their interactions with other Native students. This was especially so by the 1930s, when many Native students like Cal came to the boarding schools already speaking English and knowing little or nothing about their original tribal communities. After reading that passage and talking about it for a few minutes, we determined that number one, for some students, the schools confirmed and strengthened their Indian identity was the best central idea option provided. Talking about Jim Thorpe or bad conditions was too specific, and then some of the students at the Indian schools knew very little about their Indian culture. When we compared 1 and 4, we said that in the excerpt there was a more positive connotation, just like in the first option here is a more positive connotation. Then we moved into Chapter 9. So if you have not read before that, there is a review of chapters 1 through 8. If you have not kept up with reading, there's gists and synopses that you can do so. Then Chapter 9, make sure you read it. And then you're going to provide a gist and do a vocab sentence on one of the words lingering, wisp, or passel. And Chapter 9 was all about Pop and Cal having a conversation on a train about Shillelagh Indian boarding school specifically, and Pop's experience there. And then we got into the big part of our lesson today, which was this analyzed point of view and Two Roads note catcher. So everyone needs to make their own copy. There is a video here that will walk you through the process that will be beneficial to you, but will take up too much time now. So I wanted to share with you our findings. So the way this note catcher works is that it's going to give us a chapter and a character that they want us to focus on. So for Chapter 9, it was Pop and his point of view. We identified that Pop has a conflicting point of view toward the boarding schools, but overall, he thinks this will be a good place for Cal. Conflicting because he gave us positive and negative opinions and experiences there. Then we listed some text evidence. 3 pieces from page 107. Pop says that some of the teachers care about Indian students and are good-hearted. Pop says some teach things we can really use, like farming. Pop describes some of the awful conditions that he hopes the Merriam Report has resolved. On page 112, Pop says he never had friends as good and true as those at Shillelagh. Also told Cal, you'll learn a lot if you hang out with a Creek crew. And then we identified that the author uses dialogue to develop Pop's point of view. So your assignment is to do gist and vocab for Chapter 9 and then read chapters 10 and 11 for tomorrow.